Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Wednesday, all of our guests today, including Craig Button, TSN Scouting Director, standing by, brought to you by our friends at Pastime Sports and Games. And like I said, more on Pastime a little bit later. Craig, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Good. Big game on Saturday. The Wolverines versus the Buckeyes. I think the Buckeyes are a much better team, but you never know in this game. I'm hoping. But big upset last year, but then Ohio State won the college championship. But I think that Ohio State not only has revenge on their mind, but in the big house, it could get a little bit ugly for the Wolverines.
What's your
hold out hope.
What's your connection to Michigan? Correct me if I don't.
I was in Ann Arbor for 12 years. 12 years I was in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Lived half a mile from the stadium through the whole thing. Yep, it was a great time. They won the national championship in '97. It was a great time to be in Michigan at that time, guys. The Pistons were back-to-back NBA champions. Yeah. That was the Fab Five that came into Michigan. It was like rock stars coming in every week. Then you had the Red Wings, who were good. They ended up winning. You had the Michigan Wolverines hockey team winning, the Michigan Wolverines football team winning the national championship, and it was just a really great time. And then I was working with the Dallas Stars, and they ended up winning as well. So, it was just it was a great time in my life, and I got to see a lot of great teams and great athletes and some really, what I would call great championships celebrated by the city of Detroit. Now, maybe the Lions can do it.
Yeah. Well, what a life you've had. And then we talked a couple of weeks ago about growing up in Montreal in the 70s with the Habs and all those Stanley Cups. Okay, Michigan, you got the
Donnie, yes. I got to say this right now.
Yes.
Winning follows me around. What can I say?
There you go. There you go.
I agree.
Well, we'll try to do something about that on this show, okay? Okay. You've got the Michigan hat on, Quinn Hughes, former Wolverine. And, Rick, this leads to you asking him a question about the Canucks.
All right. Heard you on a podcast yesterday say the Canucks are irrelevant and have been for many years, Craig. Tell us how that came about, that comment.
Well, number one, I wasn't referring to a number of yeyears. I'm talking about right now. They don't seem to have relevancy in their play or in their team, and you never want to be an irrelevant team. And maybe there was a little bit of hyperbole. The Vancouver Canucks fan base is a great one. Vancouver Canucks have had success. We don't have to go back very far, 2 years ago. And I thought they'd be a playoff team this year. But right now, there just seems to be so much surrounding the team. I mean, last year there was the JT Miller. Then you got EP40, who's, been so subpar for 18 months. And we hold out hopes of that we see signs that he's turning it around, and then all of a sudden it's back to what he was. And then the uncertainty with Quinn Hughes. And that's the genesis of where you find yourself. And you find yourself, and maybe it's too strong a word, but you find yourself where your relevance in the league, the way other teams look at you, they don't take you seriously. And that's just a fact. They don't take you lightly. They, like when I say, but like they kind of go, okay, that's Vancouver. We better not lose to them. We better go in there. They're on a thing. And when you find yourself in that spot, I think you got to recognize where you're at, and then you have to really work to understand not where you hope to be, not where you wish to be, but where you are, and then address the issues. And I think right now in Vancouver, there's a number of them.
Okay, Craig, they wake up on Monday morning, 30th place in the NHL, embarrassing loss the night before. They send out a memo, veterans are available. What is the message? What are they telling the rest of the NHL when they do all that stuff on Monday?
Well, how about if we go in and say, what are they telling their own players?
Yeah.
They're telling their own players that, hey, you know what, you're available. We got to move in that direction. Now, I mean, you move in a different direction in many different ways, but that becomes a public statement. And here's what ends up happening. And I'm going to give you an example. Chris Drury did it in New York.
Yeah.
What did it do? It created real challenges for the franchise. It creates challenges for not just your current players that have left, players that go on and look at what Trouba and Kreider are doing in Anaheim. They're a big part of that team. So it's not that players are bad or players, but sometimes you need a change. I think how you manage change is just as important in leadership as when you're trying to strengthen your team. And if you're going in a different direction, then you just you have those calls. I'm a big believer that I don't think it's necessary to send out a memo to all 31 teams and say, hey, by the way, why don't you just take out an ad and fly it over every city? We're open for business, and all our veteran players are available, except Quinn Hughes. What do you think Quinn Hughes is thinking right now?
Thank you.
Right? What do you think Quinn Hughes is going like? What's going on here? And I told you this. Quinn Hughes is a competitor. He's a great guy. He's a wonderful leader. We know what he means to the Vancouver Canucks. But now you put this into his head of like, what's going on around here? And nobody wants to be in a situation where it's not functioning. You can find solutions to that, but if you don't have a belief that it will function, you're looking for the exit door, and that's a fact.
Absolutely. Hey, if the Canucks were smart, they'd look at your Craigslist that just came out, because they be
smart people.
They might be picking 1, 2, or 3. Hey, on that list, there's a Giants defenseman that did not make your top 10, Mr. Lynn. Talk a little bit about that. Ryan Lynn.
Well, I mean, there's always a range, Rick. I think I always like to go in groupings and everything, and I think the grouping of 4 defensemen, Veerhoff, Pipparainen, Chase Reed, and Carson Carls, who plays up in Prince George. I think right now they've separated themselves as a quartet of defenders. They're ahead of the next group, and the next group is good. Make no mistake about it. Ryan Lynn included. He's a really good offensive player, and certainly when you look at it today, I mean, lots can change, and a lot does change between now and next month, now and the spring for certain. And Ryan's a good player, and there's going to be good players that aren't going to get drafted in the top 5, the top 10. But at this point in time, it's a point in time. It's a data point in time, and right now, I just see those 4 defenders just separating right now. Then you got the forwards. I could easily have put Ryan Lynn in the top 10. If you think that the 14th guy should be 8, you're not going to get an argument from me, and that's what I mean about grouping.
Talking with Craig Button, TSN Scouting Director. Sticking with your Craig's list, you have Gavin McKenna at number 1 on your Craigslist. There's a lot of people out there, people who do the same job as you, that don't have him number 1 anymore. They're not blown away by his numbers at Penn State, 18 points in 16 games so far. Can you understand where they're coming from, Craig, although you do have him still at number 1?
Well, I think you just nailed it, Donnie. You said they're not blown away by his numbers. Okay, that's fine. So if you want to just look at the stat sheet, I've watched Gavin for a long time. It's a large sample size of him being brilliant. And watching him this year at Penn State, he's going through a lot of different changes in terms of off-ice training, the challenges of playing against older, stronger players, being a student athlete. Those are all things that factor in. But that being said, and having seen him earlier this season, and then again, watching his 2 games this past weekend very closely. And here's what I came away with watching those 2 games close. If I just look at the stat sheet, it'd be really easy for me to say, geez, yeah, McKenna's not doing good. But I watched the 2 games on the weekend with Penn State. There is nothing, and let me just tell you, nothing that indicates to me that there's anything that anybody should be concerned about with Gavin McKenna. He's creative. He's got a great imagination. He handles the puck. He makes plays. You know what the biggest challenge for him right now? And his coach, Guy Gadowski, said this as well. There's not a lot of skill around Gavin. So he's making plays and doing things where, wait till he gets with a talented group at the World Junior. I think you'll see that produce more goals and more points for Gavin McKenna. Watching those 2 games closely, and I'm talking watching them live, rewinding, watching, rewinding, looking, trying to see it, because you hear it, right? And you go, okay, I better be open-minded about this. And after watching those 2 games, let me tell you, zero doubt. I've watched this guy since 14. You're looking for maybe red flags. I see none.
Mm-hmm. Canuck fans should pay attention to that. Oilers losing 8-3 yesterday. And quickly, if you don't mind, Craig, and defensively, 4 or more goals they've given up in 12 games. Just absolutely horrible. Everybody points to the goaltending. And I know they were coming off a road trip yesterday, but everybody at Edmonton saying that was inexcusable. What's going on defensively? I'm watching that game, and it goes beyond the goaltending.
There's no question, though. I mean, goaltending is a part of it, and certainly it's going to get a certain amount of responsibility for the losses that they've had and the record defensively they had. But defensively, it's been a very poor team, right near the bottom of the league, and in all the meaningful defensive metrics. And if you don't want to commit to playing defense, and committing to playing defense isn't just about, when you're in your own zone. It's in the offensive zone. What are you doing? How you're reading? How you're supporting one another? It's being responsible with the puck, not giving it away, not creating rush chances against, making sure you're not chasing out of position. So when I just mentioned those things, and there's other things, they're at the bottom of the league in all those areas. And so no surprise that their goaltenders are being left alone a lot of the time. And they'd have 3 or 4 less wins this year if they weren't able to outscore those problems. So it's easy to look at it and go, well, geez, look at their record. Yeah, their record belies how poor they've been. And we keep hearing the same thing. Oh, yeah, well, we got to turn it around. It's got to start now. There was some signs in Tampa Bay that it looked good. They hung on. Skinner was great against Florida, especially in the third period on their last game on the road trip. Bottom line is, they've shown they can play good defense. They just haven't shown they can do it for any sustained period of time. And if they don't, they're going to find themselves in this problem all year long. And forget about the playoffs. Forget about the Stanley Cup. Playoffs will be a reach.
Have fun watching the Wolverines and Buckeyes. Go Wolverines. Thanks for this, Craig.
Go Blue.